Okay, we have the Skoda van, or the S1203. It's got the same basic speed of the Skoda car, but it's got a lot more storage, obviously. It's got a slightly smaller fuel tank. I think it's 60 gallons, so it's actually smaller than average. But unlike any of the other cars, it has way better off-road capabilities. Obviously you can carry 6 of your buddies in here. So, this rolling up into Cherno with 6 fully loaded guys could do some pretty good damage and be able to get out of there pretty easily on road. The one thing I do note about this is it's... how do I put it? The tires on it are kind of small, so they're harder to hit, but your steering ability is kind of hindered whenever you're slow, because it takes a really long time for you to turn those wheels around for some reason. Other than that, it's pretty fast. It always spawns with no wheels, so you gotta pretty much have everything ready to go if you want to go after one of these. Other small things to note is, if you get out, obviously, the guy in the... it fits 2 people in the back. You got 2 in the front, 3 in the middle, and 2 in the back. Anyone in the back, it's fairly hard for anyone to see into the back seat. So if you have someone guarding this thing and they hide in the back seat and someone comes up and they're, going through the inventory, and you see them and you wait, and then you get out and you pop them. Makes it really easy to draw on some other survivors and get their stuff for trying to steal from you. Other than that, it's obviously going to be pretty hard to hide. And we're onto the truck, the first truck, the small truck. The crappy, beat-up truck. As you can see, it's a bright color, so it's going to be hard to hide. I've actually never seen this vehicle at a spawn point before. I have seen one that came in and attacked me and my buddy while we were trying to steal another car, and they end up stealing that car from us. Which wasn't fun. But anyway, the one main thing to note here is the protection on this car. The glass you can see is on the front, the passenger side, the back, but they rolled down the driver's side glass, which means if you shoot that, it will go through and hit the guy without going through the glass, so it's a good thing to know. Would have been a good thing to know. Anyway, this is how it drives pretty good on the road. It's got a fairly high top speed, I think it's 110 almost. But once you get off-road, even though it's a truck and should perform pretty well, its top speed's only about 20. So it's not very good, to be honest. It does have the 200-liter fuel tank though, pardon me. So you should be able to fill this thing up and drive it wherever you want to go. Be good for a fuel runner truck if you have a helicopter or anything like that. But apart from that, it's not that good of a truck because it can't do anything off-road, so it's kind of pointless. So that's pretty much the gist of that. And we're on to the Toyota Hilux, or Tundra, whichever you prefer. It's the pickup, the white one. The only downside of this vehicle is that it is white. Everything else about it is really good. Has a 100-liter fuel tank, which is, a bit above average, I'd say. I have one of these on my other server, and I've driven it everywhere. I've been to every major city, every minor city. I have yet to visit a few spawn points, and that's just about it. You can drive this anywhere you want, minus the water, obviously, but that is due to its high speed on-road. It's actually one of the fastest on-land vehicles you can get. I'm actually going to run out of space before I get to my tents over here, diverting me into the woods, but this is why it's probably one of the best. Its speed through woods and off-road is actually quite a bit better than all the other ones. Typically around in here you'd be going about 15. See, now I'm picking up to 40. Okay, go back to 30. It depends on what terrain you really are on, but you'll see how much better this thing is off-road than all the other ones. Pretty much everything after this I review is going to be the stuff you want to look for. The only downside of this vehicle, other than its white color, which makes it hard to hide, is the fact that it only holds 2 people. If you look inside here, there actually is a back seat, which they don't utilize, which sucks, because if they did that, then this would probably be the best vehicle in the game. But because of that, it isn't. So, good for running fuel. Very good for running fuel. It actually holds more stuff than most of the other vehicles, so find one, grab them. They're a lot more common. There's actually 2 of them on each server now since the last update. I actually made it to my last tent. It's cool. Other than that, it's got full glass, so you don't have to worry about getting shot too much. It actually does spawn with extra tires, considering it has one on the back, so these actually are pretty easy to pick up and move around once you find them. So start looking for these. They're really good. Okay, for anyone that was watching earlier, this is the UAZ. Notice that it is not a car and it is not red. This one is the tan version. There actually is a green version in the game. They both spawn. Typically, it's around military outposts and stuff like that. They're pretty good on road. It's not ridiculously fast like the truck or anything like that. I mean, its max speed's about 80. I think it's 85. Yeah. And if you go off-road, it does really good off-road, actually. It having 4-wheel drive and everything, obviously. Its major plus is it carries 7 people. How it does this, I'm not 100% sure, but I know it's 2 in the front and 3 in the middle, and apparently 2 in back, so that means that it carries 7, and it actually carries quite a bit more gear than most of the other vehicles, so again, this would be a good fuel runner for a helicopter. The only problem I have with this vehicle is if you get in the tan version, you're going to have a little bit of problems hiding this thing because it kind of stands out a bit. I mean, you'd think tan would blend in a bit more, but around here it really doesn't. There's no desert. There's no sand. Nothing tan, really. It's all brown and green and that orange color off the trees there, but other than that, it's pretty good. If you can get one, they're kind of hard to find. They require pretty much a full rebuild on these most of the time, so keep your eyes open for these. They have them at military points, and they spawn pretty readily. There's only one, though, on each server, so that's the other downside. If you ever find one of these, in any condition whatsoever, repair it. Period. This thing is ridiculously fast on road. It's fairly noisy, though, in that respect, but it has a top speed of 120 kph. So, it's amazingly good off-road. The only problem with this particular one is it's red, but there is a green one, I believe. It's in, like, green camo. And I think that also includes the top is also a dark color, so it makes it a lot easier to hide. Through the woods, obviously, I'm getting about 30, which is about average. If I stop and go in a straight line without turning. But off-road, it is very good. It's got a 200-liter fuel tank, so it's got the mega fuel tank on it. It also has room for 9 people. 9 people. It carries like 3 times the cargo everything else does, short of the larger trucks. But other than that, this thing is a very good vehicle. It's very easy to outrun anything in this. So if you find one of these, fix it and get it out of there immediately, because there's only one on the server, and you're very lucky if you find it. Okay, and here's the tractor. The tractor spawns, actually it spawns 4 of them on the map, so this is a very common vehicle to actually find. The only problem with it, obviously, is the giant glass box that's surrounding you on the top. You can see it from, a couple thousand meters away, so it's very easy to spot. It being bright red and having that huge glass box up there makes you a very prime target. Other than that, it's actually not that bad. It's good on road speed. I mean, it's about, what, I think it's about 55 kph. Its off-road speed's really good too. I'll show you here in a second. The other thing to note about this vehicle is it doesn't take wheels to repair them because, obviously they're tractor wheels. And they're puncture proof. I've spent hours trying to puncture these. Well, not hours, but you get what I mean. And they never pop. Whenever you hit them, they sound like they're popping, but they don't. They just keep going. You get in, they're still green, you just keep driving. The only thing, the major problem is, you can see that tube behind the front wheel there? That's the engine. It's exposed on both sides, so one or two good shots there and this thing's done. It just catches fire and burns everything inside it. Then if you're in it, you go with it. So it's pretty hard to flip this thing, really, and if it's your first vehicle, it's not that bad a vehicle. Give it a try if you find one.